Hey guys, it's been a while since I did a little video, and we've seen just a little bit of confusion with some of the forms, and so I wanted to go over some of the ones that might not be as clear about when exactly you should fill one out. And so quickly I'm just going to kind of go through all of the forms, spending more time on the ones that we see as more problematic. So in the right side of the teal folder that is your grab and go folder, there's always an advocate service checklist. This is pretty self-explanatory, but we also encourage you, if there's any feedback, there's a note at the bottom that if you have any feedback on the case, you feel like this particular client really needs to be checked in on, or maybe the patient is being admitted and there's specific things that you were unable to complete with them, anything like that, at the very bottom is our office number. When you leave voicemails on the office line, we get them first thing Monday morning, or if you're seeing that person on a weeknight, we get it first thing the next morning. And so please call us with any feedback that you ever have. The female assessment form, also really self-explanatory. We don't see too many issues with this. The biggest things that we see are people not trying to collect demographic information. And I get it. Sometimes it seems a little bit irrelevant to say, what race is your partner or something like that. But we do track trends, and we do see if what we find is in line with, national statistics and things like that. The other thing is, we see checks that the patient works or is employed, and then not, no safety planning tips done specifically around that. So make sure that where it talks about employment, you really pay attention to that. And then there's danger assessment, and I know that Patty sent out a great email about this, but when you do the danger assessment, which is now just 5 questions, that you're not just using it as kind of a yes or no assessment, but really opening up the door for more conversation of, wow, what you just told me is really scary, or, strangulation is something that we always ask about, and it's because it really increases the risk to you in this relationship. It's very scary. And so allowing it to be a time to really talk back and forth about these high-risk indicators. So this note-taking page is obviously just scratch paper pretty much. So the release of information does a lot of good. The biggest thing that I would say we use the release of information for is if you have a patient that you assist in getting into the shelter, we could call all day trying to make sure they got there safely, see if there's anything that we can do, make sure their caseworker knows that we have, photographs or information. If we don't have this, we can't even place that call. We can't say, hey, we sent Susie Smith there, can you confirm she's there safely? And so if you do send someone to the shelter, even if there's not much information that we would be releasing on this patient's behalf, have it filled out, only select that one box, just here, and just explain that this allows us to call and make sure that they got there safely. However, if you do have information like photographs, a statement of what happened to bring the patient to the hospital, anything like that, it's also highly encouraged that you talk with the patient about how systems work together, and it's in her best interest, perhaps if that's what she wants, for us to be able to get information from police on, are you going to arrest this person as far as the perpetrator? Are you going to arrest the perpetrator? Hey, I think this perpetrator is really dangerous. We have some history, and it seems like this is really someone that needs to be held accountable. Or maybe we don't have a phone number to follow up with the patient, and we want to be able to say, hey, listen, police department, we are calling the phone number, we can't get her. Are your counselors working with her? Is she okay? Is there anything that we can do? And so while this does give us the ability to really just kind of send over all the information we have to assist in their investigation, it also enables us to be able to check in with that patient and try to provide ongoing services that we're limited by. If we see the patient once, get a phone number, and that phone number never works, and we don't have a release on file, we can't go through any other measures to try to get in contact with that person. But the one thing that we see some people goof up on this is, say the patient's from Gaston County and the incident occurred in Gaston County. It doesn't do a lot to check Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department. And so if you do have a patient that's either from another county, going to another county, just make sure to click the other box. And then I usually just write, Cabarrus County Domestic Violence Services. And then down here, again, just check other, and then you can put, Concord Police Department, Cabarrus County Sheriff's Office, whoever the patient knows is involved, or just, you can write any Cabarrus County law enforcement agencies, have the patient sign, and that gives us that ability to reach out. The physician's documentation form is only to be given to the physician if there are visible sign of injury from domestic violence. So not from a suicide attempt, not from a car accident, not from, anything unrelated to domestic violence, but just visible signs of injury related to domestic violence. When we say visible, another thing that could be on here is, like, I had a patient the other day whose shoulder was completely dislocated, and so on x-ray they were able to see that, and so I did have them fill it out. It was actually somewhat visible just from the outside, but also the doctor confirmed that it was dislocated from x-rays and was able to put that on the form. The consent to photograph should only be used if you are taking photographs of the patient. Otherwise, that is very confusing for a patient to be sitting there signing a consent to photo when they have no injuries. They don't want you to take pictures. There's nothing to take pictures of. This is only to be filled out by the patient if there are photos that need to be taken. They have consented to those photos. I would say that as far as these two forms, the consent forms, they should come on the back end of your conversation with the patient. We do not need any piece of paper signed to communicate and to advocate with a patient. We only need it signed when we start talking about releasing or taking photographs and things like that. And so it can really be a barrier to that client seeing us as an advocate if the first thing we go in is, okay, I need you to consent that you're okay with me talking to other agencies. Really, we need to go in and say, unless you want me to, or you consent, I'm not going to be sharing your information. And what we talk about is private. And then as you go on, if that patient does want photos taken, does want police contacted, and all of these, different agency involvement, at that point, we worry about getting the form signed, okay? And then the last one is pretty simple. It's the safety plan. I typically will read through some of the safety tips that are already on here, and just talk with the patient about the importance of establishing a safety plan. And then what I do is I kind of ask them, what things could you see would make you feel safer, or you think would make you safer, because they know their lives a lot better than we do. And so, it seems very generic, or it seems like we're trying to one-size-fits-all approach if we say, I would encourage you to delete your Facebook. That person doesn't have a Facebook. It doesn't help to write it down when it's nothing that the patient or this client could do. And so talking through their life, tell me a little bit about where you work. Are there security guards? And if so, that's a great one to add on there is, notify security guard that this person shouldn't be on scene, that he usually drives a red Mazda, whatever it is, so that the safety plan that you write down for that person is super consistent with the life they live. And so those are the forms. I want you guys to ask me if you have any questions at all. Also, when you go to this YouTube, you can actually go down on like videos, and you'll see some from in the past. So you can always go look at old videos if you want, if you're ever bored. But please let me know if there's any topics that you want me to discuss in this way. And either I, or I might make Patty, because she tries to shy away from the camera, might make her do them. So let me know if there's anything you want to chat about, you want to see on the video. This is a long one, sorry, but have a good day, guys.